Then we're going to do a little screen share action. Tab. What do we got here? There's the live with my girl. Get out of here. And let's do this. 3, 2, 1. The countdown is on. All right. Let's see. Facebook wants to work. You guys know how this goes. Happy Friday, Junior, everybody. Happy final Friday, Junior, of 2022. Holy shit. Where has this year gone?
Oh, insanity. I just realized it's the last Friday.
We coming up on the end, girl. The last Thursday, the last Friday, the last Saturday that we start over new, which actually feels really good to like be starting the new year on a Sunday, right? Like I know the week kind of like technically, if you will, starts on Monday, but hey, that means we've got Sunday to sort of prep heading into the new year, it feels like. And I just think it's interesting because I've had several conversations with people this week. Like we've got some awesome new people joining our team and everything. And one of them, I was like, so when do you want to start? And she's like, well, I know it sounds cliche, but like next week, you know? And I'm like, okay, that doesn't sound cliche at all. Liz, why are you frozen on my screen here? Am I frozen? I hope not. But I'm going to keep talking. But anyway, she's like, I don't know, like as cliche as it sounds, just I want to start next week. And I'm like, amazing. I would love for you to start the week after that, right? Because when we onboard clients here at Carbs and Consistency, I know Liz just went away. Obviously, her stuff was frozen. There she is. But when we start clients here at Carbs and Consistency, we typically like to give them at least 1 to 2 weeks to just go through our onboarding process so that they get an opportunity to familiarize themselves with the app and everything and what it looks like to work with our team. And also so that it doesn't feel super overwhelming on day one because they've already sort of had a bit of a heads up and they can just transition into like, okay, day one, we truly hit the ground running. Because I think the worst thing would be like, hey, you're signing up for 6 months. It's going to take you 2 weeks to actually like learn all the things. And you feel like you've wasted the first 2 weeks. So again, I don't think it's cliche for anybody to be starting anything this next week. I think it's an awesome place to start because it just feels like an awesome fresh start. How are you feeling about the new year, Liz?
I love the new year. I actually like posted something on my Instagram the other day about like how magical like this time is and like why people always tend to go towards, oh, I'm going to start on Monday or the new year. Like psychologically and through research, like people end up more successful when they do that. And it's just like, you know, like we all strive for that motivation. And that's kind of like a little extra like kick in the booty to be like, heck yes, I have this date. And like, you get so stoked for that date. Like I am. And I feel like serious goals either this year, but I'm like, I'm stoked for this year.
Yeah, for sure.
And that it starts on like a Sunday. It's just like the cleanest month ever.
Right. For sure. And I think what you said, you know, psychologically, it makes a big difference. And yeah, the people who are going to be starting with us like the first or second week of the new year, awesome. But I'm like really hyped for the ladies who started in like November and December. And I shouldn't even say ladies, we have gentlemen as well, but the people that started through the holiday season, because it's like they already survived all of that, which is already a tough part of the year. So now it's like they've got this extra boost. I feel like we're like, hey, I fucking rocked that. I can't wait to see what I can do when I don't have the disruption of a really chaotic holiday season. So definitely a win.
I think a lot of like everybody that did start over fall and stuff and what they learned there and like the balance that they're going to be able to carry throughout the rest of the year was really, I saw a lot of light bulbs and I loved every second of it.
Yes.
It's like, oh, I can enjoy this. Oh, I love eating more food. And like, I didn't have to gain weight. And I still got to like enjoy all the things still.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it's been really fun to just watch the whole like moderation and as cliche as it may be, balance. Like people truly have been really leaning into that this holiday season and not looking at it as an all or nothing, which I think is something that I know people in my audience, I tend to attract those types of people because guess what? I used to be an all or nothing person and I still can be in some respects, but like when you can learn that that's not the solution, it just makes this whole process so much easier. You can be in between. You don't have to be all, you don't have to be nothing. You can have the best of all the worlds. So anyways, I'm stoked. But let's dive into, I know we've already spent like almost 5 minutes chatting about this, but it really does go into talk about our topic and everything, right? So we're talking about expectations, timelines, balancing or managing rather your expectations with your effort, and like what it looks like when people do come to work with us. So first off, I want to touch upon like the 4 phases that we simply use here at Carbs and Consistency, right? Because a lot of people come to us wanting to go into a weight loss phase right away. They're like, yeah, I'm signing up with a coach. I can't wait. This was me, you guys. When I signed up with my coach in March 2020, I was like, dope. Like, I already know what I'm doing. This will be so easy. I'm going to work with her for 12 weeks. I'm going to lose 20 pounds. Well, after 9 months, I hadn't done any of that weight loss thing. I had to go through a reverse diet to repair my metabolism. And then finally, after 9 months, I was able to like have my body in a great spot where I could lose weight. So this again goes into what we do for our programming. And keep in mind, you guys, these numbers I'm about to throw out, they don't necessarily apply to you, right? This is why we work with clients on a one-on-one basis so that we can get to know your diet history, your stress levels, all the things that are going on in your life, because even Liz and I, we have completely different diet histories. We have completely different lifestyles. We have completely different hormones, right? So even if she and I started the exact same diet, and even if for whatever reason she and I were the same height, weight, age, we still wouldn't be able to lose weight in the same way or do muscle building or anything like that the same way, because we're 2 different humans with 2 different histories. So that was a big tangent. But ideally, the phases we like to go through would be like 1.5, 2 months and more of a metabolic restoration phase. So this is really where we give you the opportunity to learn what maintenance looks like for you. So this would be like, hey, we're just going to see what it looks like for your body to just stay steady. We don't necessarily want that scale to drop or to increase during that time. Yes, there might be fluctuations. Anything up to like a 5-pound fluctuation on the scale is totally normal, you guys. That's not really considered weight gain if the scale's up 5 pounds over the course of 2 months, especially if everything is like in check with stress and hormones and, keeping your energy levels where it's at and getting you into a solid workout routine. So again, we spend about 1.5 to 2 months in that metabolic restoration phase, priming your metabolism. And then if you've been successfully going through that first phase and your body seems to be in a healthy spot, then we're usually ready to go into a fat loss acceleration phase. So this could be anywhere from 2 to 3 months. It could be less, it could be longer. Again, it's going to depend on the individual involved and what consistency you can put forth and what your body wants to do. All right. Next phase after that, we come out to more of a recovery mode. So we slowly add calories back in while trying to keep your body composition and the scale where they were at the end of that sort of dieting phase, if you will, or the fat loss acceleration. And then we finished off with more lifestyle integration. Like, how can you apply all of the things that we've been building up for these past 6 months into something you can see yourself doing for forever? And when I say over the past 6 months, again, remember, that's the bare minimum we're working with anybody. So this could be a 1-year process. It could be 18 months. It could be 2 years. I've literally had clients working with me for 2 years at this point. I've just signed on a couple of clients this week who have already committed to 15 months. We have plenty of clients who are still on our rosters that are committed through the beginning of 2024, the middle of 2024. Like, these people know they are in it for the long haul and they want to make sure that they get the most optimal results, and they are not looking for the quick fix, which, thank God, that's not us, right, Liz?
Oh yeah. No, quick fix. They're not my friend. They're not my friend. And it's amazing, like you said, like we have different dieting histories. And honestly, like when I started working with like one of my first coaches, I was like, hell yeah, I'm going to lose all this weight so quick. I was literally just talking with one of my friends who is a coach, and she's been like, we've been talking back and forth because we're kind of reversing ourselves out of a diet phase. And I was like, it's so funny. Like I woke up this morning, I was like, I'm human. It's okay to want that instant gratification, because I was frustrated. And I'm like, this is so annoying that I don't have like the perfect everything that I'm striving for. And I was like, and talking about my husband, like he started working out with me this week consistently for the first time ever. I'm like, you've lasted 2 weeks with me. What? And then he's walking around the house without a shirt. And he's like, do I got muscles now? And I'm like,
yes. Yes, babe. Just tell me that. Smile and nod. Go buy me something pretty, aka tacos.
Yes, completely.
I love it. Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, even us as coaches, even we know like not to expect quick results or these game changing results in a short amount of time, but we still struggle with that too. Like, we want it to happen faster than it's supposed to, and it just doesn't always work that way. So, yeah, we struggle with it too, even as pros, you guys. All right. So I hope that gives you guys a bit of a brief understanding about what our 4 phases look like. And remember, everybody's timeline is different. People might go through that first phase where we're doing the metabolic restoration. And you'll see me talk about this sometimes on my stories, but I don't talk about it often, where some people actually end up losing weight as we're reversing them. So adding more and more calories into their day simply because maybe their body is actually finally responding to the protocols that we're getting them to follow consistently. So I'm thinking of one client, for instance, that I just did an interview with on here last week, Liesel. We have raised her calories. She was eating less than 1,800 a day. We're now at over 2,200 a day. And she, at one point, was down like 13 pounds from when we started. And that just took like a few months' time. And again, more and more food. Why? Because we were taking stress off of her body. She was doing less of that high intensity cardio. She was giving herself more nourishing recovery through food, through sleep, through stress management, better digestion. Even just when you can understand as an adult how normal it is to have like healthy BMs every day, that's a big deal. And I can't tell you how many clients come to work with us where that's not something that's happening for them. And if that's the case, no wonder you can't successfully lose weight. If you are not having a BM every single day, there's a problem internally, you guys. So anyways, just to know that everybody happens differently. For myself, when I went through my reverse diet, I gained anywhere from like 5 to 7 pounds probably by the time it was done in 9 months. My girl Liesel, again, she lost 13 pounds. WTF. It's not fair, but such is life. Okay. So next, how consistent you need to be to succeed. So I'm sure everybody's heard of the 80-20 rule, right? And that applies to so many things in life. But with this strategy in particular, when we're talking about like 80-20 lifestyle, we want our clients to be at least 80% consistent with the protocols that they're following. So what are some of the protocols that we give our clients that we like to see consistency with, Liz?
Mine is eating plants consistently and not just, once a week or, oh, well, I had 2 plants today. I'm like, okay, cool. Your goal's 5. Like, and it's hard at first. It definitely is hard at first, but like eating plants, drinking water, fiber, very basic things that, it's so funny. I have, when I get new people starting and they're like, wait, this is it. This is all you're going to start me with. I'm like, yeah, this is a lot, but really like, until those things become just a part of your day, like that's going to get people so far. Like they're going to go leaps and bounds being able to just do those basic things that we give them in the beginning.
Yeah, we underestimate the like mundane and how much that pays off, which really, I just started rereading Atomic Habits. So I like to read it at the start of every year. I just decided to get a few days jump start on it this year. And it's like going back to the beginning. I'm like, yep, exactly. Like everything James Clear says in here is so true. How you just start doing these things and they just become who you are. And that's what you have to do at first. You have to become that person. You're going to say like, what does the healthiest version of Crystal do? What would the healthy version of Crystal do? And I love how Liz incorporated this with her clients. She talks about what would version 2.0 of you do, which is something I've stolen and been putting in my content this week because I fucking love that. It's like, hey, we're starting you as version 1.0. You're looking for version 2.0. So what does version 2.0 do to be that goal that you have, right? You're putting yourself on this pedestal. You want to have this life-changing transformation. So what do you think needs to change in 1.0 to get to that 2.0? So Liz, anything in particular that stands out that people like didn't understand when you talked about what that looks like, or any light bulb moments you've seen recently with anybody?
When the reason why I started using like, hey, like your version 1.0, you're trying to be 2.0 is I feel like a lot of people come to us with like a person in mind and not taking into consideration their life, their job. Do they have kids? Do they have a husband? Like what stressors do they have in their life? People, I have somebody that was talking to me the other day and they're like, Liz, I want to lose as much weight as you. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. But like what I had to do and what I do every day, like I'm very fortunate enough that I do get to work out 2 hours plus a day and I get to go on walks. Like I have a walking pad. Like my life is centered around that. I don't have a normal job where I'm stuck at a desk and I don't have kids that I'm trying to like pick up from school and stuff. And so when I started telling people, okay, well, what do you picture your life being like? What are the things that you are doing every day in your life?
Mm-hmm.
And then it helps me kind of help guide them. Like I always tell them, I'm like, I'm your GPS. And like, if you tell me if I tell you we got to turn right, but you're like, no, I'm going to turn left. Like, I'm going to make that one the safest and like try and navigate you back that way. But I can't ultimately force you to go that way.
No.
But it also manages their expectations.
Yeah.
Because guess what? You're not going to be able to spend 3 hours in the gym. Guess what? If you tell me that, you know, you want to do A, B, and C and look like, you know, a CrossFit athlete, I'm sorry. Guess what? You don't get to drink booze. You don't get to go out to eat. Like, and guess what? It's going to take you like 5+ years.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I love how you pointed out, like, they oftentimes say they want to like look like so-and-so or be like so-and-so. And a lot of times, you know, you see people commenting on like a celebrity or something like, oh, well, they did this diet, or, you know, like, let's just talk about like Khloe Kardashian or something. Okay. She literally gets paid to like look that way. She has nothing but money out the ass to pay for trainers and people to cook her food and clean her house. You ain't her, boo. Like, it's just not happening unless you have limitless amounts of money to like be able to pay for somebody to do all of the things that you need to do in your normal life. You're not her. It's not going to happen like it happened for her. And I mean, I guess you could go pay for plastic surgery, but like, why? That doesn't teach you anything. So I love that. Like, you do not have anybody else's story, anybody else's setup, even Liz and I. Like, we actually have really flexible lifestyles where we can make movement a priority when we need to. And you're not the same as us. So anyways, always remember that, you guys. So when it comes to consistency, yes, Liz commented on like some of the basics we're looking at. We're looking at overall, are you eating enough well-balanced meals? Are you eating the proteins, the plants, getting the water, getting the movement? But I need to see 80% consistency. And so 80%, if we're breaking it down, you guys, that looks like at least 5.5 out of 7 days a week that are like on effing point, right? So I think 6 divided by 7 is like 86%. So let's say 1 day a week, you are not hitting your calories, you are not hitting your protein, water, sleep, workout, steps, all the things. 1 day each week, you could potentially like fall off track and still be considered at least that 80% consistency. You screw up more than once a week, unfortunately, the numbers don't lie, and that could definitely set you back. Is it the worst thing in the world? No, you're a human and things are going to happen. But when consistently, week over week, we're seeing inconsistencies, and it's like, oh, well, I hit my calories 4 days. Well, I hit my protein 7 days. Doesn't matter. Like, if you effed up on the calories, like you still need to make sure that you're getting all of the things into place. And honestly, that's why we work on that foundation, because the easier it is to just know, like, hey, version 2.0 of me hits my steps every day. Version 2.0 of me knows how to get protein in every meal and a plant in every meal. Then it just makes it that much more efficient, because you're not learning these things while also trying to cut calories and lose weight, right? So that's why we stay in that maintenance phase for at least 6 to 8 weeks at the beginning, so that you're just on autopilot with those things. And now when we go into fat loss, cool, we just cut out a couple hundred calories. No big deal.
There is a check-in that I did this week, and I mean, she had the most rock star week, even with it being Christmas and stuff. And I was telling her, I was like, you know, week to week, like each individual week, like if we have a rough week, that's normally like, okay, cool, it was just a week, like in the grand scheme of things. But when you consistently have good weeks, each of those individual weeks really build up. And so if you have a bad week, and you're like, okay, it was just a week, brush it off. Then the next week you have a semi-okay week. Okay, brush it off. And then you have another bad week. Like, life is always going to happen. And those little weeks add up, whether that's positive or negative. Just like in the book Atomic Habits, like that 1% is going to get you farther. Imagine if you did 80%. Or I tell people, you know, out of your day, what are your non-negotiables? Like, you know, like getting in your steps, like basic things like getting in your water, your steps, and sleep should be absolutely like
bare minimum.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. And it's very much a compound interest type of thing. Like you said, it can be good or it can be bad, but whatever it is, it's compound interest. The more winning weeks we have, the more that results in the positive change. And the more less than desirable weeks we have, well, guess what? We're moving in the wrong direction. So, yeah, it just kind of works that way, you guys. The numbers don't lie. It is what it is. You can like it, you can love it, you can hate it. It does not change the fact that like data really is king. So anyways, okay. Well, let's dive into like how long we work with clients and why. I know I already touched on this briefly, but we do a 6-month minimum. And that's because you heard me say earlier, I signed up with my coach and I was like, oh yeah, 12 weeks, 20 pounds. And that 12 weeks turned into 9 months. That 9 months turned into over 2.5 years. Yeah, clearly it takes a long time to undo years, decades of poor habits that got you to where you ultimately are, where you need that extra help, you guys. I don't know of very many people that have come to coaching that are like, yeah, I just all of a sudden 6 months, like to the day, like the last 6 months have been shit. And that's what happened. No, it was usually years of yo-yo dieting, years of over exercising, years of under eating, and just a lifetime of falling into like toxic diet culture and all of those fads and myths and like just bullshit things that we all have bought into, myself included, right? I've done the MLMs, I've attempted intermittent fasting and keto and all of the bullshit. And it didn't ever work with me until I had that consistency of I need this coach that I'm accountable to every single week. And again, being a professional, I still worked with that coach for over 2.5 years, just until I got to the point where I was like, this is just who I am. Like, these are just the things that I do. I know how to manipulate the numbers. I no longer need the accountability. I'm accountable to myself and I'm pretty fucking good at it at this point. And a lot of people just aren't there because they've never gone through that sort of process. What's it been like for you and like how long you worked with your coaches, what that looked like?
So my first coach, I've worked with 3 different coaches. My first coach I worked with for 3 months and I wasn't ready for it. I wanted that instant gratification. I didn't do anything. I would lie on check-ins. My second coach, I was with them for 1.5 years and then they quit coaching. It was the only reason why I ever left them. And then my last coach I've had for the last like 2.5 years, almost 3 years.
Yeah.
And I adore her.
Yeah.
So much. Like it's hard to like get rid of those coaches, you know? Because I like the accountability. I like the feedback every week. And I think that's, you know, and nowhere near the kind of feedback that we give our clients, but still that little bit is like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I think what I've gained through all of it is, you know, those little things and being consistent and having those reminders of like, okay, I got to get this done. I no longer rely on motivation. It's just become like my life. And it's really great because like the more positive weeks I have compared to like negative weeks, I don't have to dig myself out of like the help me, I need motivation. Like somebody give it to me. I don't need that anymore. Now it's just like, okay, cool. We're going to get it done. We're going to do the thing.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's important too. I forgot to mention, I worked with a coach before my most recent coach for 12 weeks and I had great results, but the check-ins were dog shit. Like it was horrible. He would send me back like a 2-minute voice memo and I'm like, cool. All right, great. And it would be like a week after I checked in and I got good results, but that's because I was like, I'm doing the damn thing. And I really wasn't eating anything and I was doing a ton of cardio. So you're going to lose weight that way. But then the more recent one, it was all about like doing the deep work, like getting into my relationship with food and my mindset with my body and fitness and everything, and how I just abused fitness and nutrition for so long. And I couldn't actually step out and see that until somebody pointed it out to me and allowed me to sort of peel back and do the bare minimum, right? Because I was always the all or nothing. I'm going to do it all or I'm going to do nothing. And she definitely got me to see like, you can just do this, like this is good enough. And so I also want to talk about like managing expectations with effort, right? Here's the thing, working with my coach, we did like spreadsheets, right? So she had all my macros. It was, here's your proteins, your carbs, your fats, your fiber. Here's, your rating, your sleep and your stress, and, noting if you had a bowel movement, all the things on a spreadsheet. And I was diligent. I crushed those numbers week in and week out. With our clients, we give them a little bit more flexibility, something like 100-calorie range in either direction, maybe 10 grams of protein in either direction. It looks different for most everybody, but it was down to 5 grams on everything, within 5 grams on protein, carbs, and fats. And that's what I did. And guess what? Even though I gave like 90+% effort, it didn't mean that I was going to lose weight, because I wasn't in a weight loss zone yet, right? Like, I had to earn the right to diet, earn the right to lose weight. So this happens with people too. They sign up with a coach, they automatically think they're going to lose weight. And again, that's typically not the route we're taking when somebody signs up with us, because we have to do a lot of that back end work of healing the metabolism, repairing things that are going on up here, more importantly than anything. And so even if you're giving that 90+% effort, it doesn't mean weight loss is going to happen if that is not the current goal. Would you say that's accurate, Liz?
Oh yeah, totally. And still, like, people will be like, well, what is going on? I'm like, girlfriend, like, look at how great, like, one, lifting weights. I try to focus a lot on like their PRs and not just like weightlifting PRs, but like, how great are you doing push-ups on your toes now instead of your knees? Like, things like that. Or like, are you able to manage stress better? Are your periods less painful? Are you less moody throughout the week? Like, are you able to handle stressors better? Shoot, are you sleeping now? Like, things like that's amazing. And I think it's probably like one of my favorite things is when I reverse people and we go through all of that back end stuff and they're like, I'm enjoying this. And I'm like, yeah, this is called health. Like, this is called being healthy. You need to starve yourself to be healthy. And I have quite a few people that were like, started wanting to be in a fat loss phase, and they're like, I want to get strong. Like, I want to.
Fuck that.
It's my absolute favorite thing ever to see that. And of course, like, fat loss, like, trust, like, I've been there, done that, still doing that. But it's really awesome when, they find the joy in not trying to eat less.
Yes. They're excited about food in the healthiest way they ever have been in their life, right? I know I just posted this in a win, I think yesterday, where I talked about somebody who had said, like, I'm no longer like obsessed with food and constantly thinking about the next meal. And that's a far cry from where they had been, right? Like, they know what the food is for. They look forward to their meals. They're able to recognize actual hunger cues and the difference between hungry, craving, boredom, emotional eating. Like, when we can truly make that your relationship with food, you understand what that looks like, that is a much bigger win than losing 20 pounds, you guys. It just is, because that is something you can take with you for forever. Whereas scale fluctuations are always going to be there. You're probably always going to gain and lose weight. The goal when working with us is that you are able to understand how to keep that to a minimum, right? So that you can just be in a healthy body for the rest of your life. Whatever that looks like on the scale is going to be different year over year, I'm sure. But again, a healthy relationship with food, your body, exercise, that is the dream. That is the vibe we're looking for. So, okay, cool. So last thing to really talk about, just mapping out a 2023 timeline to achieve your goals. So I really wanted to bring this up simply because there are plenty of you out there that I know you're not going to work with us, and that's totally fine. Guess what? We ain't for everybody. We don't even accept everybody. So you're missing out by not working with us. I'm going to tell you that, but I totally understand. It's just not feasible for everyone. So if we were to map out 2023 and what it should look like, I just went over these 4 phases with you guys: metabolic restoration, fat loss phase, restoring or recovering, and then lifestyle integration. Take 2023 and fucking do that, you guys. See what that looks like for you. And if it works for you best mentally to give yourself like those 3-month timelines or something, then maybe that's what you do. So maybe you really just commit to these next 3 months of, like Liz said, getting really strong, eating as much food as possible while keeping that scale nice and steady. And that doesn't look like a free-for-all, you guys. And it doesn't probably look like eating like an asshole if that's what you're doing right now. It looks like, okay, I'm going to be diligent. I'm going to track my food. And that doesn't have to be with an app like MyFitnessPal. I recommend it highly, because once you actually get to see the numbers and see the data of what food actually like breaks down to, it's very eye-opening. But it can look like just a handwritten food log, right? Like whatever, or taking pictures of your meals and looking at it and seeing like, okay, do I consistently eat 3 to 4 times a day? In those meals, do I have a protein source, a plant source, a carb source, maybe a little bit of fat? Are those meals balanced, as we would say? And keeping up with that more often than not, ideally, again, 6 or more days per week, and just making sure you're consistent with that. Ideally, if you're somebody who's going to start tracking with MyFitnessPal or something, or you're already doing that and you want to actually look at the numbers, just track for a couple weeks. And the goal should be for your weight to not change, right? It stays the same. It doesn't go up. It doesn't go down. It stays the same. And if it does start doing one of those other things, up or down, then okay, we should probably change this up a little bit. But I would say start adding in 50 to 100 calories every couple of weeks if that scale is staying steady. Do that for 3 months. Beautiful. By the end of March, you could potentially go into that fat loss phase. If you want to go into a fat loss phase, you're going to want to know how many calories you're at. Great. Reduce that by anywhere from 10 to 20%. I would say start on that lower end with about the 10%, especially if you're really thinking that you can commit to that for 3 months of April, May, and June. And then guess what? If you achieved your goal, amazing. We can go into that restoration phase. You can start again, slowly adding in more calories, 50 or so every couple of weeks, and hopefully keeping that scale nice and steady. Again, we're still tracking, we're still doing all the things we were the first 6 months. And then in that last phase, those last 3 months, it's about lifestyle integration. Well, if you don't want to be tracking for the rest of your life, okay, then how do we start just eating those meals that you were still eating and not tracking them, right? Being more intuitive about it, being like, I know this is what I usually eat for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner. Awesome. I'm going to keep doing that and understand that if I just keep eating that similar way, I really shouldn't see any changes on the scales negatively or positively. So that's kind of what I think a 2023 timeline looks like nutrition wise. Do you have any advice pertaining to nutrition and even exercise, Liz?
So I totally agree with the nutrition side of things. I always encourage people to like audit their life and be like, okay, well, first you need a starting point. Next up, like follow basic rules of eating plants. So what if we just focused on a balanced plate 3 times a day? I guarantee you that's going to change so many lives just by doing that.
Yeah.
Because it's amazing how many of us don't have a balanced plate, and how many people contact me about like hormones and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, what are you eating? And they're like, oh, I'm doing this. And I'm like, so you don't eat a balanced plate. Like, let's start there. Before you get anything's wrong with you, just start with a balanced plate. Workout wise, start off with walking. Give yourself breaks. There's after like the pandemic and all that stuff, I know a lot of people work from home and stuff, or like they have normal desk jobs. Get up and walk. Set a little alarm and give yourself a break just like you would in a regular job.
That stupid stapler on your Apple Watch, you guys, it's there for a reason. Get up and move.
Exactly. So I set my Garmin up for like every hour and a half, and then I walk, even though I have like a walking pad and I still walk, but like just to like shut everything down, go outside for a few minutes. And then if you guys start in the gym, start out with where you're comfortable at. If you guys walk into the gym and you're like, I'm comfortable going into this one corner on this one treadmill for 10 minutes and that's it, freaking awesome. Do that and then go home. And then maybe the next time that you go in, maybe go to the dumbbell rack, walk around a little bit, see what kind of machines they are. Try out random machines just to see what I can't tell you how many times I just went into a new gym the other day because my friend was like, oh, work out with me. And I walked in, I'm like, I don't know what half of this stuff is. Guess what? I started just playing with everything. And I sat in my truck nervous. I'm like, I'm sweating. Like, why am I nervous? Like, I'm literally have coached the dude that like owned it, but I still get nervous. So walk in, play with things, and like, who cares? I promise you, nobody's looking at you at all. They can
people for help too, right? Like people in gyms are usually pretty chill.
Exactly. And I always tell people, because I had somebody that like knows me on Instagram ran into me at a gym that I go to all the time, and they're like, Liz, you look so mean. I'm like, oh no, I'm just blind and like suffering. And I sent you the message I sent my husband. Like, I I push myself pretty hard.
Yeah.
But also like I'm just blind. So
Yeah.
and stare at people, it's just because I'm a coach and I'm watching your form and I'm probably like cheering them on. I'm like, get it, girl, get it, lift it, lift it, lift it.
For sure. And that's the thing. Like, I go to a gym right now because I don't have a treadmill that works in my house. And I go in there and don't pay attention to what anybody's doing. I could not care less. But if somebody randomly like asked me for help or something, I'd be totally down. And I know most people who are like regular gym goers are just like that as well, because they know what it's like. They've been where you are. So if you're scared, ask for help. And, you know, I'll be the first to admit, do I throw shade at group fitness? Sure as shit I do. Why? Because I know it's not the secret to your success. I know it fucking sucks for your long-term results. However, it can be a good option to learn how to do basic exercises. So even if you're doing a group fitness class once a week, just to understand what that looks like, make sure, well, I can't even tell you to make sure, because how would you know if they're good? But I watched a body pump class at my gym one time and I was like, oh, hell no. This bitch was like quarter squatting. It was terrible. Anyways, go to a group class, watch YouTube videos, whatever. Find somebody you trust. If you know somebody would actually take you to the gym and they're pretty experienced, like ask them to go. Or even for our one-on-one clients, like, yes, they have the app. Yes, it gives demonstrations of all the exercises, but we have clients that sign up to work with a trainer once a week, either in the beginning of their journey so that they are more confident in the gym, or later on when they're just like, I want to learn more and I want to have somebody actually there with me. Amazing. I love that. I love that you trust us to do your programming and stuff, but I totally respect getting that in-person help because it's super helpful if you're completely foreign to all this. So yeah.
I do form videos with my ladies.
Yeah.
And also my dudes as well. Like I have them record themselves, and I had one schedule a call with me just so that like it was like around the time where she was doing presses and I could help her do her presses. And I'm like, boom, this is perfect. I got her to set up and like brace properly. And it was like our 15-minute call. And I was like, this is actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
I could get with them.
Exactly. See, I love that. And that is the thing, you guys. Like, if you think doing this on your own is easy, it's not. So maybe ask for help, whether it's from a professional, whether it's from a friend, maybe not from your significant other, because we know they're not always great at giving the best advice. But anyways, so, okay, that's kind of what I have for today. I think we already chatted like 10 minutes longer than I wanted to, which is no surprise because it can go on and on. And I did want to talk about one of our recent client journeys, but maybe we can do that next week instead. Any closing thoughts heading into the new year, Liz?
Give yourself grace, but
Yeah.
also don't make it an excuse.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is what I did this year.
Beautiful. Beautiful. My closing thoughts are get really good at the boring stuff. Just keep doing it. Just keep doing it, you guys. If you think it seems too easy, it's not. Not until you've mastered it for 30 days straight. So even if you read my email that went out yesterday, I talked about like, cool, where are you at on steps? Start there. Where are you at on getting in like plants in your foods? Start there. It doesn't have to be all of the things. Pick one or two things that you know will make an improvement. Doesn't have to be a drastic improvement, but one or two things that you know because you've been watching what we've said will make some sort of a improvement to your life, and start there and get really fucking good at it for several weeks and then add something else in. So that's what I got for you. Start small, do the boring shit, and it'll pay off. All right, guys, have a great night. We'll talk to you soon.